Hi everybody, Flash Trials, I'm back again with Suzerain, and we're in the Trials of Democracy. We're still in Chapter 1, let's have a quick remind ourselves where we were. Young Swords, oh blimey. Young Swords member found decapitated. Their Storage Police Department found a decapitated body in an abandoned house where the victim was later identified as Kirk Lienke, a high school teacher, a member of the local Youngsters Cultural Centre. Wow, I'm not even going to read that. That's horrible. That's barbaric, that is. Command has collapsed in mobile. Emergency response teams were dispatched immediately due to the sheer size of the disaster. Additional manpower and supplies were requested from nearby cities. Initial investigation showed that an underground fire was started due to neglecting workers in the working situation by the Nedham mining group. So we're into the same old lack of workers' rights, workers' protection. Right, let's go with, that's a difficult one, let's go with this one. The Workers' Rights Act of 1954, proposed by Alban Clavin and supported by the Minister of Health Pascal Benoit, is prepared for the first draft review. Voices from the Labour Union have strong signs of support. A session dedicated to building assembly-proof contentious people for that form the backbone of the storage economy will finally be protected by extensive laws. Yeah, it's divisive. Sarah Gibbon, a leader of the NFP, has announced today that the NFP is completely against any threshold reform. He especially emphasised this would lead to unwanted elements entering the Assembly. Yeah, you're an unwanted element, be still there, mate. Okay, right. An investigation of the influence of young swords and red youth organisations on the post-assassination arrest has concluded. Both official organisations haven't officially recognised or called for illegal actions, but several led to mid-level leaders from both having links to insightful actions like their deaths, injuries and instability. This allows us to ban the organisations. Alright, last time I banned boats, I'm not going to ban them. I'm just going to... Last time I banned them, and it didn't seem to do any good whatsoever. Just drove them underground. Alright, finalisation of the draft constitutional changes. Sorry about that kind of noise outside. See what it was. Right, anyway, I was walking to my office. I was walking to my office since today was the day to edit and make the final changes to proposal. Let's start back again, shall we? I was walking to my office since today was the day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to change the constitution of Sordland. The full committee has finally brought tangible results on the draft changes are about to be presented to me. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decisions I was going to take. At the entrance to my office, my secretary Olivia greeted me. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Olivia. How are you today, sir? I'm perfectly fine. Alright. That's just sleazy. Let's just say we're fine. Good to hear. She paused before taking my coat. It looked like she had something on her mind. Mr. Rayne, can you give me a hint about the reform plans? If you ask me, having judges' immunity is taking away judges' immunity is long overdue, but it might angle a lot of people in these halls. Yep. You'll find out with the rest of Sordland. I'll take it into consideration. Let's just play dumb. Hope you'll keep me informed. Why would I? I'll take your coat now. Olivia left to hang up my coat. I entered my office and sat down. Not long, Peter, Lucy and Anir arrived. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to get this proposal going. Please place the draft in front of me. After your modifications, we'll be starting the process. Can we go over each of the points after this? Yeah, let's go over it all. Well, apart from the first sections of decreasing the Supreme Court's authority and limiting the presidential vetoes, nothing else has been agreed on unanimously. We could start talking about Section 3. This is about the impeachment process of the President. Currently, in case of high treason and breaking the Constitution, the Supreme Court may impeach and try the President. Most reformers want impeachment to be initiated by the Assembly. They think they do not have the power, any potential. They think they do not have any power over potential rogue presidents that would abuse their power. I'm not sure if it is correct. The Assembly should have oversight of the President. This is always particularly dangerous view. In this case, we will be going against the old guard, and if we prove successful in the Assembly, they will be looking for anything they can declare unconstitutional to tackle you. All they need is the Supreme Court to impeach you. What if we don't succeed? The court can have me impeached for this. Maybe reforms are not great after all. We should define a better impeachment process. Yes, we will collectively working on the specifics. Section 4. This is regarding the appointment of ministers. Currently, the President is free to appoint anyone from the Assembly of Members, and nobody else is involved in the process. There's definitely demand to involve the Assembly in the process. We can reduce the confidence vote. I agree we should involve the Assembly more in the process. Go on then. Some reformers suggest the Assembly should nominate the ministers before the President approves them. I'm not in favour of that. Of course, according to the ratio of the parties in government, in our case it's only us. This section is about our famous electoral threshold. Most reformers want to lower the threshold as much as possible. Mr. Victor and his PFJP definitely want to see the change on this topic. They find our 10% threshold to be anti-democratic, which is something I agree with, and so quite frankly, so do I. Yes, but this is a delicate matter to the party. I mean, not even Albion wants us to change the threshold. They think that this would destroy our party in the long term. He's probably right. Not wrong. 10% threshold is what that allowed us to control half the Assembly with only 30% of the majority in the elections. But the high threshold is the reason why Swedish politics has become so isolated. We should definitely work to decrease the threshold for better representation. Do they think it would really hurt the party? Yeah, that's a tough one, that is, actually. I agree with that. I don't know, I'm between those two. I agree, even after Sol's resignation, we still have 3 parties in the Assembly. Even Mr. Kibiner's NFP is barely elected. Don't forget the Communist Party and the Workers' Party of Blue Deer had close to 10% of the vote in the last election. Just personally, I don't agree with having that 10% threshold. That would be opening their way into the Parliament in the future, and if we were to decrease the threshold, is important you realise this. No, I don't. Of course, that would also mean the USP might lose its majority in the Assembly, so if our own democracy is the reason for our downfall, we have to accept it. Don't worry, with these reforms, we will be even more popular. We can't just give away a majority like this, we can't allow common sense in the Assembly. Hope it works out, Mr. President. Listen continued with the next section. Section 6. This is about presidential decrees. Reformists demand more limitations to the President's executive powers. Mr. Richter has demanded them to be removed completely. I've suggested to bring some limitations to decrees regarding their applicability. While we keep them, we should try to make sure they are only used in emergency situations. We could also make it dependent on an enabling act from the Assembly. Sure, it would make the whole process long, but as long as we had a majority, nothing else really changes. Yeah, we'll work with the reforms to limit the decree. Yeah, might as well. Friends will probably demand that we remove them completely, but he forgets Sordland is a presidential republic. Next one is Section 7 term limits. Term limits question mark. They want us to include previously non-existing term limits. We cannot allow somebody like Sol holding onto his seat for 2 decades again. We should establish limits. Yeah, I agree. Hey, if people keep electing one person, that means they really are content. The masses are scared of change. Even Sol knew how to leave, but we will leave it to the president to decide. Yeah, he did, but it took too long. Now I'll move on to the 8th section. We're reaching the end. It's a question about the immunity of the judges. While the anti-old guard sentiment is increasing, there are talks that are taking away their immunity would give us. So let's start. I'm only going to show it. It's a question about the immunity of judges. While the anti-old guard sentiment is increasing, there are talks that are taking away their immunity would give us authority over the judiciary. I do not support taking away their powers for yourself, Mr. President. The judiciary must be independent and long-lasting. I agree with that. While I agree the courtrooms are problematic, there is no way to resolve it. The law is supposed to ensure the judiciary's independence by giving legal protections, and they can't be pressured. They need absolute immunity in theory, but look at what reality got us. We have to deal with the most corrupt Chief Justice in the world with no chance to deal with him. They should be able to be impeached. Why should I get impeached but not them? We should crush your guard to clear ways for further reforms. Maybe we shouldn't make this just yet. I don't know. I'm stuck on this one. Because that could be abused. We could crush the old guard, clear away for more reforms. Yeah. Hell yes, we should. But how? But it would be tough to persuade the judges with this. Miss Edmonds may not want to cooperate with you if they believe you're going to get rid of them afterwards. That's a fair point. And the last one is a question of Sol's legacy. Basically, his member of honour law. It gave him absolute immunity even when he's retired. He's a permanent member of the Assembly as well, but luckily he doesn't really attend anymore. According to the Constitution, the Member of Honour not only has a legal immunity, but the state also covers most of the expenses, and the laws provide security at all times. It can only be given to someone by absolute majority in the Assembly and the approval of the President. That's why only Tarquin Sol has that title. He gave it to himself right after the military coup. This law is basically made to say the Kerline is symbolic importance for Sordland because of it. It has symbolic importance for Sordland because of it. We get rid of the sense of law that protects him. We should be able to face his justice for his atrocities that has taken place during his rule. Abolish his position. The reformers were certainly completely behind that. Well, regardless of what Mr. Rayne decides, we will need to work together to push this agenda. Let's get started on the draft. Right. Okay, according to Article 77 and 82, the President may veto a bill by returning it to the Assembly with a written statement. The articles do not contain any information on how to override a veto. As a consequence, the President has an absolute veto power that cannot be overridden by the Grand National Assembly in any circumstance. The new Constitution allowed the Grand National Assembly to override a veto with a 60% majority. I'll go over that one. According to Article 5 of the Constitution, an amendment may be proposed by members of the Assembly with at least 150 signatures. A 2/3 majority vote in the Grand National Assembly and a simple majority vote in the Supreme Court is required for this amendment. As a consequence, the Supreme Court, which is not part of the elected legislative branch, has enormous power in the amendment process. Yeah, tonight I have completely lost the ability to talk. But anyway. Yeah, that's no truth. We remove it. Go on, get rid of them. Impeachment process. According to Article 17, the President of Sordland is not responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of the presidential duties, except in the case of high treason or violation of the Constitution. In such cases, the President may be impeached by the Supreme Court in joint session with an absolute majority of its members. Therefore, the impeachment process only includes the Supreme Court and gives them great power of the executive. The Assembly and the Supreme Court may impeach, maybe by a 2/3 majority vote in the GNA and the Supreme Court. The Assembly may impeach by moving the case to the High Tribunal. Alright, let's just stick it at that. According to the Constitution, the President appoints ministers of the Council of Ministers from elected members of the Assembly. This requires no vote of confidence. The President may nominate ministers which will require a confidence vote in the GNA for their appointment. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'll appoint them, they have to approve them. According to Article 50, a political party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats in the Grand National Assembly. The votes of the parties who pass the threshold are redistributed proportionally. This means the USP currently holds the lead, which would be the main beneficiary. Okay, so the Constitution will have an 8% threshold for political parties. This will allow the Workers' Party of Bloodia and the Communists to be elected in the next elections. Right, let's go with that one, because they're the two big ones. Let's go with that. Right, okay. According to Article 18 of 51, the President is able to issue decrees on political, social and economic issues that would carry the force of law. They cannot be They could not contradict the Constitution and are subject to judicial review. Therefore, the President may issue decrees in many subjects without going through the GNA. However, the Assembly may pass legislation on the same subject to override presidential decrees. The President will not be able to issue a decree that would carry force of law without an enabling act from the Grand National Assembly. Right. Anything I do has got to be approved by the... Yeah, I'm going to go with that. According to the Constitution, the President should be elected for 4 years. However, there is no mention of a term limit, allowing one individual to be elected and stay President without limits. Yeah, this is a weird one, because in the UK, in theory, the Prime Minister can stand up as many times as they want, like Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher, and he was in government from about 1979 to about 1990. Or 1992, she was there for years, and she won like 4 elections. Yeah, we get in America though, where they've only got 2, so I'm a bit torn on that one. But given the history of Sordland, we'll go with that one. We don't want another Sol, do we? The Constitution gives the Judge of the Supreme Court total immunity and describes no procedure of impeachment, making them untouchable by other branches of government. The Supreme Court justices may be proposed to be impeached on legal grounds of unconstitutional behaviour. A valid impeachment proposal requires a 2/3 majority of the GNA to impeach. Oh, this is a tough one, this one. I don't know. Yeah, let's just leave them as they are. There we go. Honorary member title. It's appointment procedure as well as the rights of the members it may exercise. Basically, it gives Sol complete protection from any kind of prosecution. It's Constitution. Yeah, abolish honorary membership. Get rid of it. Done. Are you sure? Yes. So I made my final changes to the proposal. I showed it to the team. They made a change and discussed it amongst themselves. Lucian spoke afterwards. It looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. But I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept that, guys. I'm not fond of that idea. That's true. It will be tough to get all of this, but some of the members may try to openly fight against this. I'm prepared to reconsider if it comes to that. We'll do our best to make it work, sir. And in the comments before we proceed. I don't think I have any problems with the changes. Me neither. Looks like we're confused immediately. I'll personally work on the wording of the proposal with my hand-picked legal experts. With Miss Morgan's reputation as the most experienced attorney, this proposal will be bulletproof. The Chief Justice also will have a hard time convincing others to oppose it. I hope so. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. We need to get them to back us if we want this to pass the Assembly. So I advise you talk to the leaders of the most conservative and reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports the reforms already. Miss Tory will be a real problem. She's become a real heavyweight after we left for the executive. And the advice of dealing with them. As Mr. Vector said, Mr. Clavin will probably be easy to persuade. We need to unite the party under this, so his support is vital. Miss Gloria will be tougher to break. The problem is that she's capable of turning the moderates and the conservatives against us. Much as I don't say this, she makes demands to change the proposal. You may need to give in. Understood. Wish you luck with the party, sir. I think we can end the meeting here. We all shook hands and left the room. Okay, right. Look around if I could tackle anything internally. Right, news. This is what the papers have been saying. Rayne leading promised reforms. Our sources informed us that a plan is underway by the government to start drafting a reform package. Finally, we seem to have a president who pursues something significant in the early days of his term. President Rayne has already proven that he's the right man for the job, as rumours circulate about successful talks about a future proposal and the collaboration with important figures of the PFJP. This is a significant development that shows the administration has listened to the will of Sordland citizens. I expect they're in favour of it. What's Lockhaven Times saying? This time this year again, the largest cultural festival in the entire Sordland, Benfey Festival, has begun its preparations. This year's venue was picked to be the newly built Benfey High Art Centre, capacity of 8,000 people. For those who do not have tickets, can always enjoy the events. For those who do not have tickets, can always enjoy the events that span the whole city. Especially after recent events, we can't wait for 4 days of panel, theatre and exhibitions of music. Okay, they seem happy about that. Seems look to be a radical thing to say, which is always an achievement, a bonus. Peter Vector is working alongside Lucy and Gallard. The committee started working on the written aspects of the package that, as per the needs outlined previously. They will soon get legal team involved to complete the writing process. They get 150 signatures. Okay. Dinner with business council members. We were in Lockhaven with the Business Council to assess the weakness in the economy. Simon organised a dinner with affluent economic figures of Sordland. When we arrived, the streets were bustling with activity. Even the atmosphere in the country was tense. Lockhaven didn't seem very worried. With Walter Tusk, Edith Agnock, Michael Avon and Simeon Hall, we entered the renowned Astoria restaurant by the coast. A short blonde man was embroidered pocket red manager greeted us, waved his arms in excitement as he told us how pleased he was to have us in this establishment. Being with pride, he led us to a private room and got us seated by a large table covered for the occasion with a maroon tablecloth. We were quickly served by a group of servers. Walter spoke as he started taking our orders. I recommend the Lockhaven salmon present. You have to taste this local delicacy here, the best in Sordland. Order the Lockhavens. Yeah, order it. Order salad. Servers placed glasses in front of each of us and served bread and water. After they were done taking orders, the kids left us alone in the private room. Mr. President, I didn't have the possibility to thank you for coming today. Your presence means a great deal. I need someone to down with you, sir. Down with you. I forgot that I did to say a bit myself. It's great to be here with the members of the Business Council. Hurrah. We should thank Simon for organising this meeting. No need for that. I hope everyone enjoys the evening. Simon gestured at the expensive looking red wine bottle that one of the servers had just brought to the table. Mr. President. That looks amazing. It tastes even better. Best of Lesbia, the Chateau de Falanco, 1934. So I'm going to pour some wine into my glass and wait for me to taste it before filling up. I took a sip. It was bitter. Honestly, it tastes like any other wine. How is it? It tastes your liking. It tastes like heaven. It's been hard to see. After filling everybody's glasses, Simon stood up and raised his glass. I'd like to raise a toast to all of you here today. We're meeting here tonight in difficult times, but I believe that with hard work, cooperation and trust, we will get through this period as well. I hope so. I'd like to thank President Rayne again for his decisiveness when it comes to economic policies. I'm sure we will stop this recession. Tusk, who's he? Oh, him. Didn't I not back him on something? I can't remember now. President is an honour, and of course my colleague from Business Council, ACNOC, Congressman Banker, and you are a businessman. Yep. Future to do, prosperous Sordland. Get on with it. A couple of more minutes waiting to have our meals. The food tasted amazing. Water was right. The place must have been the best place, one of the best places in all of Blackhaven. What do I think of the food? What you mean? Art is something else. It embodies so much about us and the world surrounding our lives, and the food there's an art of everything. The art of making money, food, and wine, and love. How are things in the Moon Palace? The pressure must have increased after you attended that funeral. It did, but it was the right decision. Of course, I didn't mean to criticise your decision. As we conversed with Mikkel, I heard Walter raise his voice in an apparent argument with Edith and Salmon. We both stopped to listen. Casey knows the right way of doing business. Their approach to the world is real, and more I'd prefer that cutthroat approach in the capacity to the Narcissists. Well, I mean, it's a nice country to visit too. I've travelled there often on business trips. Their attitude on all countries are nice to visit if you have the cash. But it turns the world around. Travel is the least you can buy with it. Exactly, Ham. How about people who haven't got to spend? What about disease? What about death? What about everything that is wrong with the world? That matters beyond our lives. We should focus on the betterment of ourselves and enjoy what we have instead of worrying about what others don't have. The world isn't black and white. You're right, Walter. We only live once. Truly, I could tell that's egotistical way to look at the world. All men plant trees whose shade they shall never sit under. I don't get that. all men plant trees whose shade they will never sit under. What else is that supposed to mean? Let's go with that more easier. Down the rabbit hole again. By the way, I saw that under construction has already started on the railway construction. That project will surely boost our economy. It is already very positive. The relief package is also a great investment. It has saved many businesses from declaring bankruptcy. I have to congratulate Mr. for such major projects. No need for that, just doing his job, of course. Mr. Holdus is a credit. Our great economic minister. Is there a joke coming? Well, I thought you said you were great at the economy. He laughed. I've heard that you've bought a new villa, Simon. I can't comment on rumours, but I'll make an exception since we are among friends. It's true. Where is the property? It's a small seaside villa in the outskirts of Commonwealth. It's just a modest house with a swimming pool and a small golf course in the property. Modest with a golf course. Doing Commonwealth is a surge of investments. Let's just be pleasant to the guy. Where there is a demand, there is a supply. The market will supreme as always. He'd sit on my left, gently put hand on my arm for a few seconds. Let's talk about financial policies for now. We've come here to relax. She turned towards Simon. Isn't that right, gentlemen? They nodded it and took a sip of their drinks. She slightly beamed towards me. Of course, Mr. Why don't you tell us something about that strong character of yours? I've heard you had a difficult lot in diary, is that right? They cared for me as much as they could. I can't ask more than that. Very humble of you. I never met your family, Mr. President. How are they doing, if you don't mind me asking? They're doing great, we have no problems. Great to hear someone's very proud of you. Family is everything. My advice would be to make sure that Frank has a solid relationship with you. He is your future after all. Good advice. He's going through a teenage period. Wish that was my son's biggest problem. Darren seems to be doing fine. I saw that his yacht party in Benfield made the local news. Well, that rascal didn't even ask permission to use the yacht. He just took it, basically stole it. Good news that I finally convinced him to go to university. He'll study economics at Blackhaven Business School. That's a great choice to have a degree in Sordland separates you from the babble, and we especially need more people understanding economics. Maybe your son would become a great future economist. I wouldn't count on that. But I agree that we need more economists to enter politics. Thankfully, we have a president who seems to be well versed in economics as Alfonso. He turned to me. I'm very confident of your abilities to fix a recession. We should. Thank you. I hope we can fix the damage to our economy. We can't fail like Alfonso did. Correction, it wasn't his politics that destroyed him, it was the old guard. I agree with that. Of course it was, they were a big threat. He threatened the economic power base over the country through vast privatisation plans. They removed him and backed you after. Or to stop the conspiracy theories, I think we've had enough drinks. Everyone quiet. After a long silence, followed by some chit-chat, Walter ordered a bottle of whiskey. It's a good looking bottle. Well, Bates bought one of the finest occasion whiskies. It was time for a toast. Would you like to give the toast again? Sure. Seems to have a slight issue with his balance because he's drunk. May the wheels of fortune always turn in our favour. The future of abundance awaits us. Cheers to that. I think we call it a night. Either stood up. Most of us were a little tipsy at that point. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for joining us, and you, Sam, for putting all this together. Thank you all for being here. It was great. Thank you. Thanks for being here. After bidding our farewells, we slowly walked out of the restaurant. The moon was shining bright as everyone except Walter left in their luxury cars. Mr. President, a moment alone, please. Oh, here we go. He called me, said a small VIP lounge. Follow him. Usually the Lothenburg spokesman doesn't directly comment on the administration, but I'd like to say a few things since this was a special evening. I'm all ears. Finally, President, listen to the people. It won't be easy to pass a new constitution through the Assembly and the Supreme Court. We could help you get it through if you routinely help us with a few economic requests. There we go. What does he want? The consensus is that we see eye to eye on the economic direction you have taken by promoting market economy. I'm interested to collaborate further and share interests. And we have the right attitude. He looked him in the eye. You reject our previous discreet offer to pick on the whole construction for the execution of the first mega infrastructure project, but I gave him the job anyway. However, you still made the right choice. Your part of not getting that donation is unfortunate, though why someone wouldn't want that money is beyond me. We are aware of the upcoming tax meeting. It would be a step in the right direction if private companies would get a tax cut. The boost of economic job creation, of course, and the possible positive side effect that would be our support to the administration through the entire term. I will give. Yeah, can't promise you anything. Why can't we just be friends? We can. I'll see what I can do. Glad to hear it. The group wants a private corporation tax cut and privatisation in healthcare and education. Yeah, go on. I was going to do it anyway. Very sad to hear this to this and proposed future Sordland. So I'm cutting taxes and privatising healthcare and education. I'm sure I've just contradicted myself from earlier episodes, but hey ho. He smiled. Glad to hear we come to agreement. See you, Mr. President. Walter left the stage going to pick us up. I enter the car. Drove to our residence in Lackover Search, took the seaside route. So we basically just got in bed with Walter Dusk, have we? Marvellous. What could possibly go wrong with that decision? Okay, let's read the news first. Bill of Rights has been drafted. Oh, lovely. I'm currently having a nice can of Brewdog Punk IPA. It's a postmodern classic, brewed in the north of Scotland somewhere, and it's 5.4% and it's blinking lovely. And I'm drinking out of a huge metal tankard, like you do. Anyway, I'm glad I made your day telling you that. Right, let's skim this through. Pro-Labour session in decades. Strong support from opposition parties and from our party. Minimum wage, rules guidelines for overtime, safety protection. Yeah, fine. I'm not opposed to that. Oh no, I don't want to do that. That's a budget meeting. That's going to be a long, painful discussion. Let's go and read the newspapers. Meets with Business Council. Okay, fine. Just reporting the dinner we had. Oof. Yeah, see that, not that one. Hang on. That has directly links to that, basically. Because poor protection of workers led to a lot of people dying. Vilma Asser, who was working in the school kitchens, were apprehended with connections to last week's school cafeteria poisoning rebel. The act was found to be politically motivated by the perpetrators are connected with the banned Bloody Freedom Party. Got 60 years in prison. That's not good. Well, not good for poisoning school kids, not the prison sentence. Car bomb attacking Harvey. Car parked in Agno, Sordland dominated neighbourhood in Oscars over has exploded. Cars up with a time bomb, nobody's been found. Doesn't look like anybody's here though. Hopefully. Alright. Oh dear. Alright. I'm putting off this meeting because this is not going to be budget allocation of government of Sordland. This is going to be fun. As preparations for the government budget were finished, most of the cabinet gathered in the right room for the important occasion. In half year past its inauguration, the cabinet looked overworked. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally to start discuss the government budget. Let's talk from it first, of course. Each one of you is very capable, but what we do as a team that counts. We are doing great work, but this is just the beginning. We have many more good time things to come. Years ago, all of us gathered to change course of history. Now I'm proud of what we've achieved and what's to come. Motivated by my statement, I should think so. Thank you, sir. Sadly, Peter Vecton won't be attending this meeting. Why not? Alright, they're working on the upcoming trade agreement with Welland and Agnolia. May the Lord be with them. Oh, it's Kyra gave a barely disguised eye roll. Did you just roll your eyes at me, young lady? If I did, it's because religion has no place in a government budget meeting. Absolutely, they do not like each other. Or is it merely expressing my wishes for a successful trade deal? Freedom of expression must be protected at all costs. Is that nice? If must it not, Mr. Morgner? Actually, in this case, I agree with Cat and Miss Walter. Cara flashed the brutish smile. According to Sordland's laws regarding the separation of church and state, she broke off as she noticed that Simon, Lucy and Isaf were looking at the female ministers in stony silence. Oh, he could be, yeah. Oh dear. It's like, what are you doing? Ladies, let's see the extraneous chit-chat for afternoon tea. That's a bit patronising, isn't it? Please have the religion at the palace gates. I don't like it. Someone give her. Lisa was about to utter a word, but a loud cough of Simon interrupted the silence in the room. Simon started loudly shuffling some documents, all eyes turned to the Minister of Economics. Let's begin, Mr. Hall. Thanks to Simon's expertise, I'm sure we'll achieve great things today. Thank you for the compliment. Today's a big day. We must prioritise our spending wisely in order to achieve the goals we set as a government, while obtaining enough political support, if I may add, to promises we made during the election. There are three options regarding the budgeting. For members as a government, we either can increase, maintain or decrease the funding. Increasing will result in improvement of the branch, which unlock new policy options. Maintaining will keep the funding, resulting in no visible change. Decrease will cause lots of efficiency in that branch. Can we rely on the private sector supporters? Moving away from big government is the right choice. The problem isn't about the amount of money spent, it's about how efficiently we spend it. I'm sure we can do that to a certain extent in some branches like education and health. A universal healthcare system was protected and not tainted by private greed or interest. Yeah. You're not like me then, dear. We need to be considerate of making grand choices that have ripple effects. We have to be careful as to what we fund, so we have resources remaining for another investment project. Do we have to keep true to election promises? I can't remember what they were. As much as realistic, and if we fail to improve our economy, the promises don't bring much in the big picture. That is very true, because we've got no money whatsoever. Before we begin our discussion, there's one thing I want to voice my opinion on. As we manage the government budget, we're also obviously going to go into debt to invest in different branches. Although debt is a possibility under these circumstances, it would be dent our financial system worse than the economic crisis if we push it too far. A point for me as well, to everyone before the discussion. Given the current state of the economy, the economic situation is a critical priority right now, more so than ever. The budget will also be applicable to our entire team. It is very critical we plan correctly. Let's begin then. But shall we discuss first education? Our education is lacking not only in fund but also in modern curricular principles. Our outdated curriculum is wasting our youth. The reason why I advocate two things: an increase in budget to improve access to education, realise our new education reform. To be honest, Sordland is lacking compared to Acacia and United Container. When it comes to education levels, the backbone of any country is its people who need to protect our future. We need to ensure the new generation is as well educated as their counterparts in more modern countries. Nonsense. Sordland is still here because of this very system that you insult. How can you insult our system that teaches our sons and daughters the principles of national identity and pride? But it doesn't get the economy going, does it? We won't be compared to other countries. Sordland is Sordland. It won't be one Lumburg rolls all over us, will it? I don't like her. I agree with you. Sordland is Sordland. Yeah, these two are dangerous. Mr. Potato Head in this one. This is right. We pave our own path. We didn't get this far by imitating. I will think about it. Let's go with healthcare. Healthcare system is vast and provides free services to most of our citizens. However, the quality of our health services is far worse in low-income rural areas. Therefore, I think we should receive more funding to address this disparity. I agree. Recent investigation of healthcare in Narble, the numbers are not good. If we don't increase spending on health services, we at least need to maintain it, otherwise we are putting lives at risk. We have started a new analysis on what would happen if a pandemic struck Sordland. According to the result, if our healthcare services were in the current state, a death toll would be unmanageable. That's quite encouraging what's going on in the world at the moment. I'm not even talking about damage to the economy. a matter of life and death, Mr. President. It should be treated as such. Ring. That is only if a pandemic comes. We need to improve healthcare. What else are we here for if we can't keep our people alive? Whatever we can as a government. Let's go with law enforcement next. I'd like to have an increase in funding of law enforcement to increase the size of the police force and raise salaries. We have no internal threats. We have so many internal threats to tackle. I'm already stretched my units far too thin. I have limited resources allocated to me. I clear the throat. Law enforcement is certainly high priority. However, I feel tackling internal corruption is far higher importance than increasing our police presence. Direct funding to my department would solve the problem at its root. If corruption is still rampant, all the police in the world won't help us. We need a specialised anti-corruption police unit which would be created if the funds directed at me. I agree with Ms Morgan that we should not reward a structure that is responsible for ever increasing the number of human rights violations. Additionally, corruption is a reason our government of our government inefficiencies. It needs to be tackled. The police there to serve and protect the people of Sordland. Miss Wilder, exactly what they are doing. More funding will allow us to take care of our police force. It is quite simple given the current state of the country. I must also remind you that we promised to focus on security and law enforcement during our campaign, did we? No. I agree, we can't just sit back and promise this to the people. I agree with yes. What people think is we fund the piece after that. We need to think of the agree now with corruption, military. Right. This is what is there to hear about. I've already voiced my opinions. One biggest coming whether we like it or not. If not this year, next year. If not next year, the year after that. I don't like him, but he's telling the truth. Mr. President, you and I have started responsibility to protect this nation from its enemies, and I intend to do that to my last breath. I would say this, we said if Umar doesn't make a move against Sordland in 2 or 3 years, my name is not Isa Lancia. He's getting a bit excited, isn't he? There can be no argument about increasing our budget of our army when there's an enemy on our doorstep waiting for us to take the wrong move. Anyone who thinks otherwise is a fool. Mr. Lancia. Right, pardon my theoretics, says a serious matter, the future of the country is up to you, Mr. President. Well, here's the argument. The armed forces does nothing but eat away financial resources destined for our people by stoking fears of an upcoming war. The reason that the issues will become self-diplomatic, what kind of message will we send to them and the whole world if we start ramping up our military budget? Think that we are ready to defend the nation, Miss Wilder. Exactly. The other important avenues. Very good talking points from everyone. Well then, it's time to make decisions on the budget ahead. Do it with care. Here we go. Right, health. Okay. Right. Healthcare country is at a crossroads. All hospitals, situation becoming relatively dire. Options by will include order. Can I go back? Yes, I can. Education. I want to increase education. Law enforcement. I'm going to. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the lot. And we're going to increase everything. Yep, let's do the lot. Okay. They all make good arguments and do the lot. Why not? I had finished allocating the government budget to satisfy some cabinet members in dismay of others, and they knew it. They and I knew this would define a significant part of our term. Yes. Oh well. We have a deficit on hands. We'll need to resort to debt. We'll need to resort to debt to finance investments. This is worrying. Agreed. Well then, let's start with law enforcement. We ought to be spent on increasing funding certain step in the right direction. Statements on the matter, sir. Hang on. Key branch needs greater budget to increase threat security. No, that should be all. Education. They're happy. They're happy. I'm about to privatise it, but they're happy. Expertise. No, we can move on. Next. And then it is an honour president to do. Yep, he's happy. Something looked down the internet powered on issues and hide him. To do. It's for common issues and military faces. He's there, the back of his chair. Let's see Mr. Bennywall. Perhaps he's given all more money, puts in a massive amount of debt. So never issues. Debt. Now let's wrap it up. I'm not bothered with talking to him. That covers all branches. Each branch will approach you with their respective policy requests and expectations of the next year. Okay, that's what happened. I wouldn't be with that. You don't forget that we are a team. I think I made a big mistake. Well, that might have been a mistake, not the first one. Yep. Not colossal debt. Country overview. Military. Happy military personnel. I did think so too. We've relieved the welfare system. Yep. Right, hang on. Can we read news yet, or do we have to go? Government budget. Yeah, basically, put bills into government. Yeah, oh, hang on. I'm sure the normal spending will blow a fiscal hole through Sordland that could take years if decades not to patch. Yeah, they're not happy. Oh well. Oh well. Let's continue. A new Sordland. Yeah, I spent ages reading through all the different things and just gave them. Yeah, I spent ages reading through all the different options and just gave them all lots of money anyway. I think my thought process was keep them all on side for the time being. Let's keep them all on side before then we get too unhappy. Alright, let's go up here first, start from the top. New drilling operation very closely disputed Helge Islands. The tension has increased. Situation turned to a standoff between the two countries' navies. That is not going to end well. That is not going to end well at all. Let's have a look over here. Lockhaven legal within March. Women's rights. That's a battle we've got coming. Naval forces acknowledge drillship to retreat. That is not good. Right, there's been a permanent presence of Axian Navy in the American Sea most perform an anti-piracy unit. The internship without the Vagladian Navy's prior permission. Yeah, that is a powder keg down there. Okay, what should we start with? Let's go here. Education reports that current education situations in the region of Sordland have been largely neglected. As part of her analysis, literacy rates in Sordland stand at 8%. Novel 64, fair enough. If you think I'm going through some of this too quickly, just put a message in the comments, I can slow down. The Vice Minister of Interior report discovered a large-scale underground network of the BFF that encompassed all citizens in Bergia. Under the guise of state-sanctioned priests of the BFF have recruited hundreds of possibly thousands of Nirity worshippers, including non-bloody citizens, to support their cause for independence. Okay. Capacity plan for the airport, build an international airport. Basically, what a bigger airport, basically, for international tourism. Okay, and breathe. Workers' rights. Sign. Yeah, I'm over. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think one through. I didn't sign it. New law on workers' rights. Yep. So we've just kind of Rayne signs workers' bill into law. Bill signed. Yeah, backhanded gratitude from Radicali. Oh, okay, that's not looking good, is it really? That's not looking good at all. Oh dear. Okay. Right. Okay, lights bill. Now what? Budget allocation. Right, I think I've just looked at my clock and I've gone, ooh, I really don't want to tackle these conversations right now because they're going to be hard work. We've done nearly an hour and we've got, yeah. Oh, I'm so tempted to look at that one. Oh, I don't know. No, we'll leave it till the next one. Yep, I'm gonna leave it till next one because I might regret that decision because I've just blown a massive hole in the country's country's economy. Let's hope privatising health and privatising education helps, because if it doesn't, we're in a bit of trouble. Anyway, on that little note, I'm going to go. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe, else it's not loads. Let me know you've been getting on. If you think I've been colossally stupid in doing what I've done with the budget, feel free to tell me in the comments. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday for the next episode. Anyway, thanks very much and I'll see you next one. Bye.